right now.
The best of all the letters.
The best, yeah. It is. Well, there's a symbol the world can embrace. LGD seem to have, I would say they had an easier run than EG just based on the scoreline, 1 being 2-1, 1 being 2-0. But LGD didn't really have the easiest time in that second game of theirs.
Well, did they have the harder time because the matchup was more like, did they have the harder time because because of LGD, or was it because they were facing a tougher team?
It's a good question.
I think LGD were facing the tougher team, and Evil Geniuses just aren't that good. But we'll see.
It's we are nothing if not brutally honest with capitalists today.
That's my shtick right now. I'm going all out. Lately.
It's fair enough, man. Like as far as what
you didn't see me on the panel. I played real hard.
I heard that there was not only shots fired, like you threw javelins into eyes.
I just brought out my machine gun while I was on set, like an old school Tommy gun. Like, hey boys!
It's called Cappy the Nose.
Yeah, man. Mess around. I don't know. I think Evil Genius. I didn't watch the series because I was casting the other one. But I don't know. LGD was certainly not flawless. I think LGD, my prediction was that LGD would just swamp whoever they faced up against, whether it was EG or Mineski, just because I don't value Mineski particularly high. So if EG have a tough time, losing a game and then having a tough time in game number 3, then that brings my opinion of them down. Now, maybe Mineski have really stepped it up, but I just doubt they've stepped it up enough, to be like, holy cow, EG and Mineski are next leveling things, and they're actually going to actively contest LGD. But maybe I'm entirely wrong. Like I said, I didn't see the series.
We also have to remember EG's track record.
This is true.
Started off well for EG.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're still trying to find their place in the world at the moment. So there's a lot of things which aren't going right for them, but we might start to see things being ironed out as time goes by. Obviously, you've gotten through one series. Maybe even playing the extra game was a good thing for Evil Geniuses. It gives them more time to work out what the hell is wrong or what is right, and try and go with that. But we're going through the draft now. So what a surprise, Phoenix and Lifesteal. This is probably becoming one of the most popular 1-2s in the drafting phase. And Doombringer and Bane coming out here for Evil Geniuses. So something a little bit more passive with the Doombringer, and one of Bane being one of PPD's favorite heroes to play support-wise.
Yeah, it's something that's a little specific to EG, and I think it's a really good counter to, well, not really good, but it's a pretty good support counter to the Lifestealer. So I think this is pretty good choice by Evil Geniuses. I also like Doom against Lifestealer a lot as well. Doom will eventually build into armor items. Early on, he's obviously very susceptible to the Lifestealer's damage, but later on into the game, you Doom the Lifestealer, you'll have a Shiva's most likely with you. There are so many ways that you counter and can kite the Lifestealer with Doom on your team in team fights. So I think Evil Geniuses do have the counters, but at the same time, it may not matter. This is the kind of draft where, okay, you can draft all the counters in the world, but you execute well enough with Lifestealer and Phoenix, and they're just the stronger heroes in the meta. That's the way to put it.
Yeah, you're 100% right. It counter all you want. There's a reason why these heroes are having such a good win rate. In fact, let me actually just double check it right now. The Lifesteal has been picked out of, I know we're still updating this as time goes on, so it might be a little bit higher than this, but the latest update was 13 picks of a Lifestealer. He's at a 69% win rate in the competition so far.
Damn, my Lions in third place at 12. That was my most picked hero.
I actually think I had the same in my compendium predictions.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty smart one.
The funny thing is, though, like we talked about how great the Lifestealer is, Phoenix has also been one of those heroes which dropped down his win rate. He's actually 33.33% and picked up 12 times.
Repeating, of course.
Of course.
That's because Phoenix has a certain kind of playstyle, and it was seen a lot at Epicenter, and we saw it at Shanghai. So teams have had a lot of time to be able to adjust to this hero. Lifestealer, they haven't had as much time to adjust. This is a relatively fresh hero in the meta that started off in pubs about a month ago and has made its way now into the big stage. So I would attribute that a little bit to the reasoning why these two different heroes have a very distinctly different win rate, also something sample sizes, that sort of thing. But it's going to be, I think LGD, if they draft Lion, have a pretty superior lineup.
Yep. It seems like they've got so much survivability. The only thing they're missing right now is the initiation disable, which Lion kind of ticks that box on.
Yeah, I mean, LGD are just like, ultimately, at the end of the day, LGD are kind of like Evil Genius, like the old Evil Geniuses philosophy of draft yourself like really good team fight and make sure you have the better late game, and you can always defend and you can always push the, like, even if you don't have technically the better late game, when you have these big team fight ultimates, you always have a chance at being able to win the late game. That's what heroes like Tidehunter and Enigma do for you, just because they're the right ultimate is so impactful that even at a strategic disadvantage in the late game, you can still win it. So LGD has a very similar philosophy in that regard, and it's primarily Evil Geniuses. It's more of the fact that we always have a fallback mechanism, right?
Yeah.
For LGD, it's because they're the kings. That is their mod. They're the kings of being able to defend high ground. So in that regard, LGD's lineup it fits their style very well. It's a relatively easy lineup to execute, and considering the meta, it's rather strong. Now, what Evil Geniuses are doing is that they're trying to get the counters in. I think they're doing a really good job of doing so. I have no problems with their draft whatsoever, but it does, in my opinion, require a higher level of execution. If you said that both teams were on the same level, I would say that Evil Geniuses would actually win this game with the draft they're setting up right now, just because.
But you still give the advantage to LGD just because you think the team currently is more superior.
Yeah, I think the team's a little bit better. I think they're going to play a little bit better. They have the lineup that's easier to execute, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah,
and that is something that's really important. Like, we are watching the best teams in the world, right?
Yeah.
But Dota is a game of mistakes. No team plays a flawless game. So just because we're talking about the best of the best doesn't mean that that the idea of lineups being easier to execute isn't like really impactful in what actually happens inside a game. You can't think, oh, but they're the best players in the world, they can play whatever lineup. It is actually really important because Dota's a game of mistakes, and that's why Draw Ranger strats exist, right? Like, Draw Ranger strats are literally like the easiest strats in the game to execute in the world, right? It's like very straightforward. Strategically, like, it should be countered, but you play it the right way, and the enemy makes one mistake and the game's over.
Yep. But this is actually something which was balanced like a couple of years ago when the push strats basically got completely nerfed. Like, because back then it was like you could push and you always have something which you let you push again later on. But now the push strats, like with something like Draw Ranger behind it, kind of get crippled if they don't work, and then you normally fail if you go past 35.
Yeah.
We're about to end up our draft right now as LGD. EG, because they're now going to run a 4-position Doom, they can pick up that Queen of Pain for Samael. They've got some good initiation, they've got some good pushing behind themselves. LGD, they're going to wrap up with an Ember Spirit, so they've actually got some counter push of their own, which was something I actually wasn't that concerned about with Tidehunter as well as Sunray. You're not really under that much pressure.
Yeah, I actually missed it. What was the last bans? Unfortunately, I was too busy thinking about the last pick.
The stream's already caught up if that's what you're trying to look for. You're going to track Dota.
I'm going to track Dota, see if I can figure this out. Because I was kind of curious. Because the thing was, you knew... Oh, they banned Razor. Well, I guess that's kind of... sorry. They banned Dragonite. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Dragonite.
Yeah, the high ground pushing hero. That makes sense. There's only two options for LGD. They get a really strong pushing hero, which that does kind of fit the bill in Dragonite. That's why EG banned it. Or they pick up another carry mid. That is the only two ways that their lineup works currently against Evil Geniuses, because Lifesteal is not a real, like, he's kind of in the Sven zone in that he's not the greatest single core carry, just because you have a lot of issues of being kited, and there are very distinct counters by evil geniuses.
You son of a! I have to close down Dota quickly and restart it.
Okay. We'll probably still get some vision of what's going on. Though I don't think EG want to clash, despite having Juggernaut and his Blade Fury. Doom's rather bad, level 1. Furion's bad, level 1. So I think you just give up that top rune.
I don't know if you mentioned it while I was restarting, but did you talk about this dire observer ward that was planted? I guess it's not further to the north, and in fact it looks now like LGD because they 5-man smoked inside their base, TP'd one straight to the tier 1 tower. They put down the ward so they came in range of like the vision of the tier 1 tower.
They did more than that. Just that, Toby. They smoked for it. You can't get that ward down without smoking.
Yep.
So
now you've got perfect high ground vision on the EG side of the mid. So you know what Sumail is at least up to, and this allows maybe to run this mid lane even more safer as the Ember Spirit.
Yeah, you can't play this matchup without some help, because if you ever get Shadow Struck, that means there's the potential for a support rotation to just run down the cliff at you if you don't have high ground vision at 4 minutes when nighttime happens. So notice that maybe skill build, he's going to go for the level 1 of Sleight of Fist. This is how you try and beat a Queen of Pain in lane. You have to dodge the Shadow Strikes.
Is Seb? Okay, with the Dire Observer, what he knows where the courier is traveling.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see if he actually goes for the run. But that courier is going the complete long way to go home. He's going all the way past the tier 2 tower and bot lane.
Yeah, people are learning about this rotation pretty quickly. That this is what the Phoenix does.
He swiped the shared tango.
Did he really?
Yeah, Sumail had a shared tango back at the tier 1 tower. He used it. Yeah, you can do that, right?
Yeah, he had to use it instantly because he took some tower damage.
Wow.
Yes, you can. Maybe this is his first Sleight of Fist dodge from the Shadow Strike. That is one of those. It's a really interesting matchup. The Queen of Pain versus Ember Spirit, because of the way that this is developed. People have learned how to play it against Queen of Pain. It's become much more of a like Quap versus Puck kind of matchup, where there is a lot of there's a high amount of skill involved, and there's a high amount of variance in how the lane actually goes, because it goes either way, right? The Ember Spirit dodges enough Shadow Strikes in the early game, doesn't get pushed out, and by like level 5 he starts aggressively threatening the Queen of Pain. One rotation can put the Queen of Pain in death, just because of how strong the Searing Chains is.
I kind of want to keep my eyes on this little duel on bottom lane. Zhao 8 going up against PPD. PPD is running pretty low on regeneration, but he's forced Zhao 8 to go through both his tangos and the salve. And they just wait for the opportunity. Nightmare into potential spin. There's not enough mana on the Bane. Like, he's only got Brain Step available. He's still short. In 1 second now he's got his Nightmare, but Zhao is back near the tier 1.
Didn't they have him? Didn't they have him? Wasn't that a kill?
Okay, now they can.
Okay, now
it should be a kill, because Zhao came back in again. He's still got Fairy Fire available, but he can't get past the tree line. So, yep, this should be first blood. He'll back out, Anchor Smash is up. There goes your Fairy Fire, and even with the crit, it's not enough.
Yeah, okay. I mean, AUI had a very, like, much clearer understanding than I did, apparently, of Blade Fury and exactly how much damage it would do. Because I really thought, like, when he went for that right click on the Tide, I was like, spin, you've got the kill. But he knew it wasn't going to be quite enough. And Fairy Fire, one of the big reasons why. Still, though, Zhao 8 doesn't even have enough for any regen. So he's going to have to sit in base, wait for a salve.
Yep,
and
that's what he got.
Yeah, that's still pretty limiting, obviously.
Who's happier with this kind of pace of the game? Like, are you happy as EG knowing that? Well, I say the Bulb was getting levels, but he's not really. Like, who's getting the most out of this map right now?
I think EG, because they have a 4-position Doom. That is really the big difference. The offlaners are going to be in a similar position, it seems, where they're both going to be pretty heavily threatened and a little under farm, but the 4 position Doom is already level 4 and will hit his ultimate rather early and can start hunting heroes like the Tidehunter, he's a very direct counter to, or the Ember Spirit, who obviously you would love to be able to shut down early.
Well, passive game is the way it goes. I think you actually had a game earlier today. It was like almost 10 minutes before you got your first blood.
Yeah, some of these games, it's just because so many of the lineups are focusing on the mid game, and offlaners in general are playing a lot safer. They're more willing to go jungle half the time. If they are going to be laning phase, they're actually playing pretty damn defensively. This is just a progression of the offlane becoming a rather dangerous place if you choose to actually lane.
That's kind of the downside of for Bulba though. Like you talk about like just trying to play a safe go towards the jungle. He can't do that when you got a Doombringer. This could be our first blood as MMY rotates in behind Sumail. We need that Hex to start off. They're gonna get it too. There's no Flame Guard, but there is Searing Chains available, and there it is. Sumail. He's got stick charges, but it's not enough. Ember Spirit will take the first blood, and Sumail gets picked. And that's even before Ember has to commit with Spirit's initiation.
Yeah, great rotation. And as you were kind of pointing to, this means maybe he gets level 6 before the Queen of Pain, and there offers a whole nother round of kill opportunities for LGD. They may be able to get Sumail shut down again. Now, Sumail is one of those mids that is able to recover from getting shut down. We saw and heard actually from Charlie his story of DAC and how that was kind of a sticking point for Sumail previously and how he was able to grow past that. And I think this is actually the reason why Sumail is such a valuable mid nowadays over even some players like Artur. When he does get focused down, he knows how to get right back up, whereas it seems like Artur is still struggling with that concept when he does get focused, which is very often.
Well, Sumail, okay, with all this going on too, like there's been de-warding galore from LGD. They took out that first ward, obviously we saw that one happen near the top river. They also managed to de-ward the observer ward in the bottom river. It only had like a minute left on it, but it was still something. And EG just needs to know when the ganks are coming, so they're actually committing scans. They scanned to see MMY hovering around that mid, waiting to jump in.
Very smart play. Sumail needs to still stay in lane, but if he gets maybe level 7, he can consider a rotation. The hard part is where does he rotate to, right? Like if he's gonna try and gank.
Fear and AUI come to him. In fact, they're bringing their core with face boots. So.
Oh yeah, that's because they've got the ultimate.
Yep.
Doom's ready to go.
LGD now they're doing their defensive scan, so they're looking towards the top river approach. Which, funnily enough, if they did this maybe 10 seconds later, they would have actually hit Fear as well as AUI as they attempted this move. So you know it's coming. MMY, who's waiting in the trees, their scan doesn't trigger anything, so they feel that maybe they're safe enough.
Oh, they're going to be revealed soon. They have to go into their smoke as it's about to pop, and sure enough, they do get spotted out by the tower, and Doom will go back to the jungle. AUI doesn't even have a TP to return back to the bottom lane, so not sure what he's going to be doing. There's
also that observer ward that's on the radiant side of the river. It's able to see just far enough away that it catches a glimpse of AUI. But now what are you doing? Like, you're letting Zhao 8 farm up the bottom lane to try and get PPD. He is level 6, but this in turn also gives Zhao 8 his level 6, so you're going to say hello to Ravage pretty soon. The Phoenix hasn't, well, really been stopped that much. Aggress has been the primary man farming. He has the top net worth on the field. Sorry, speaking of PPD, goodbye. There's actually no Gush available, but you bring him the Sunray damage and you got more than enough to get through that bait.
Nightmare! Oh, a little bit too slow.
What were you hoping for?
Yeah, the only hope is, like, he's guaranteed dead there. The only play, and he does have an opportunity to pull it off, is to Nightmare himself at the last second and get the deny.
That would have been pretty amazing under that lineup.
Yeah, but unfortunately.
Well, this is at least a decent trade-off for EG. They're going to take the top tier 1 tower. This is the primary part of their push lineup when you've got the army of the Treants of Bulba And then you combine it up with the healing ward of AUI. Even if it's only level 1, it's still going to allow you to take out these early tier 1 towers easily. And LGD abandoned. They had no intention of fighting that. And they don't get anything in return. Like, Zhao 8's farming on bottom lane, sure, but they don't get a tower in return.
Poor Smail. they have to address him just because Quap is a natural snowballing hero anyway, and it's also a pretty decent counter to the Lifestealer as well as potentially the Ember Sphere if he's far enough ahead. But he's feeling so much pressure from LGD that he's not actually getting the space. Now he is playing this really well. He's playing very far back. He knows the danger that he's in, and that's the amazing thing about it is he doesn't even have vision on his side.
Yep.
Like he's surrounded by vision on both sides from LGD. They put it on the river on both sides, and he has nothing. And yet he still has yet to be successfully ganked past that early rotation, which I think it's natural to die once to it. Ever since then, he's learned, okay, they're gonna be focusing me. Time to sit back, play back as much as possible.
They also kind of relieve a little bit of pressure here, EG, because they're committing AUI to stay on this top lane. He's kind of like one of the very few heroes that can battle against LGD, because he can just spin TP out.
Yeah.
So he's not really concerned about a Ravage rotation or Lion unless a Lion gets the jump on him. And they've got an Observer Ward down to help with that kind of thing. So they keep the pressure on the tier 2 tower. So what are you going to do? Like, if you back up as LGD and you're trying to invade into EG's jungle, then he spins, he takes out the tower once he knows you're there, and then the damage is, takes out the creep wave and then damages onto the tower. So it's kind of like LGD are also in that decision position. Like, do you try and gank Sumaya? Do you try and deal with the attack into your own jungle?
I think the play right now for Evil Geniuses, I think they've got themselves really well spread out. They're using, as you pointed to, they're using AUI very well with his aggressive push out in the safe lane, ready to spin at any point. In fact, I love this place where he cuts all the way in front of the tier 3 and gets something.
Fear might be dead though.
Yeah, but at the end,
heroes coming for him.
Isn't this fine? I mean, it takes so much time from LGD to get this kill, and it's a 4-position Doom. Like, yeah, he's pretty farmed. He's a little over-leveled, but at the end of the day, Evil Geniuses are still maximizing efficiency because they had PPD also farming bottom. They had all 5 of their heroes were actually farming all at once. So if they lose one hero to a 3-man rotation, and was that a smoke from LGD as well?
I'm
not sure.
I don't think so. I think they just walked it.
Yeah.
But actually, it had to have been a smoke. Fear wouldn't have stayed there when there's
no
So it had to be a smoke.
Yeah, it was definitely a smoke. So a 3-man smoke rotation like that for a single pickoff on a 4 position when 4 other heroes are still getting farm, I think that's good for EG. This is one of the things that I think PPD sets up his team to always do for Evil Geniuses when possible. They did this all the way back in TI5, is just spreading themselves out with these kind of heroes.
Maybe
farming.
You better have a defensive spirit up right now as he's turned on the flame guard. Bulb is right there. PPD needs a Fiend's Grip. Gonna pick it up as well. Do they want to commit the Doom from Fear? It shouldn't really be required, not when he's got that War Stomp sitting inside of him, thanks to the Devoured Up Centaur. So they bring down the Ember Spirit with a very simple maneuver. They just walked over, and that happened 30 seconds after LGD's bottom River Ward expired.
Yeah, now look at that pickoff, right? Like, it's higher priority than the Doom is for LGD, and September as well as MMY are not farming during that period of time. So the trade-off is, last time it was a support for 4 heroes farming. For LGD, it's a core for 2 other cores farming.
Yeah,
that is not worth it.
MMY, he's got an Infest inside that. Oh, okay, no. Lifestealer doesn't want to pop back out. AUI almost looks like he wants to try and fight this, but they're fighting into Ravage. We haven't seen a one time when Zhao Waits had himself a moment where he's like, Ravage is worth committing. And with the Observer Ward behind the lines, they see maybe TPing in and realize this is not the fight EG want. They waste time of LGD as they brought all 5 heroes to that mid lane.
It was some pretty good discipline because you could read a scenario where EG could actually kill the Tidehunter before he ravages, right? If they run in and Omni-slash him, and Queen of Pain just throws out Sonic Wave from a distance, that probably like one-shots the Tide, and they kill him without Ravage being used, or even if Ravage is used, probably doesn't hit Juggernaut and maybe only the Queen of Pain from a distance. So that is like a possible scenario. It's just not very assured. There's kind of like a medium risk to it. And that's unnecessary when evil geniuses are doing well for themselves. Because the thing is, EG will need to get aggressive at some point in time, but they aren't like MVP. What they do is they spread themselves out, they farm very economically, they get a farm advantage over their opponents, and then when they hit their timings with their items, that's when they start being aggressive. MVP is a team that will look and always be thinking about how to be able to force the fight and find the opening kind of no matter what.
Yep.
EG will play off of the strategy a bit more. The overall arching strategy, I should say.
Yeah. Which makes him a little bit easier to read, but Volva initiated on. PPD actually cancels his TP. He wants to help out here, and then I think he realized that he really cannot.
No.
So Volva will end up dying. EG were waiting so long for that. Like they were slowly adding pressure to the tier 2 tower, but not really doing any kind of sustainable damage. Bottom lane, the spin's gonna go. That Ravage from Xiaowei perfectly timed just as the spin ended, but the Omni Slash as well as the Sonic Wave, they find the kill. AUY, he's not gonna burn out from this in September. Attempts his TP out. Samael, however, he'll have the damage.
Perfect. I mean, that was perfect on both sides, right? LGD executed that really well, hitting the Ravage the moment that AUY drops to the ground from Omni Slash.
PPD gonna go for the Fiend's Grip. Maybe the neighborhood though. That's gonna cancel that off pretty quickly. Bulba trying to get a little bit more damage to the Wrath of Nature. MMY will drop him with actually the brain set from PPD. He gets a lot of life back and then walks away from Maybe while he is sitting there looking at the Nightmare. And bottom lane was also taken. EG. And it's just trade-off after trade-off, which is now pushing them to about a 5k net worth advantage and about 4k worth of experience.
So from what I had heard, it seemed like EG executed really well in Game 1 against Mineski, drafted themselves rather well too. And I'm feeling like a similar story here. The draft was like, you know, I sided with LGD just because I thought they would be the stronger team, but I did think that Evil Geniuses drafted really well to counter what LGD was doing, and they seem to be outplaying LGD quite well. And it's not in like rushed out team fights or anything. It's in some very specific strategic movements around the map that is actually outplaying LGD more than anything.
And this is the kind of stuff we were talking about when the game was starting. It's like that we didn't think we'd see from EG.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're actually seeing this, we thought we saw the same thing in game number 2 of Team Secret.
Yeah, this is a good sign. I know we both have EG rated pretty highly for the tournament.
We do.
You know, I was a bit pessimistic.
I had more confidence about it because I thought out of like, I think it was, I can't remember who said it when we were at Epicenter. We were having a talk about like the strength of EG. And just having a personality like Fear as well as PPD, if anyone can get these guys to come in line and then work as a full unit, these guys' personality should push hard enough that it's possible.
Yeah, I can't remember who said it, but it was like, yeah, Fear is a person who will always make sure that the team does work. This guy's got so much experience underneath his belt. He's learned not just about Dota, but you know everything surrounding
North America. He was literally there helping you with your homework. Xiaowei, the Nightmare's on him. There is an infested Lifestealer inside. Fear, he's considering moving in, but with the movement of Maybe forward, they look at PPD. He starts the Fiend's Grip over on Maybe. Xiaowei has to commit the Ravage if he wants to stop this one. PPD's low with the Brain Sap. Nightmares himself up, but it's still a 1-for-1 trade-off. Fierce behind the lines. Now the Ravage will pop, catching Fear as well as AUY. There's no mana on AUY. He cannot trigger his ultimate. So they just run themselves away. A 2-for-1 trade-off. Volva does his TP and Slide of Fist-Searing Chains. Volva, you have to actually die for the cause.
Oh, that was kind of unlucky. He had 4 Treants surrounding him, and Baby still managed to get the Searing Chains on the right target. So, a bit unfortunate there, but overall, I don't think Evil Geniuses... I was just about to comment, like, their decision-making has been really smart. I don't think necessarily, like, that was... like, obviously, we know in hindsight that was not the play to actually fight that in any way.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, like, really obvious, right? Like, the
But
PPD had a good read where he was like, they're not going to be able to stop this Fiend's Grip right away. Let's try and fight this one. LGD, to their credit, responded really well. September pops his Supernova when he's just barely in range of the Bane. So when it explodes, it'll hit the Bane. He's getting some damage out. But also, it creates this target where they can't go for the Fiend's Grip target. They have to go for the Supernova. And that is the play that actually ties it all together for LGD to win that fight. So props to him, and that's why Phoenix is so feared in LGD's hands. It's not just the technical or strategic aspects, it's some of the September's decision making that comes into that hero that makes it so good.
Speaking of unexpected kind of stuff that happens, EG, they've slipped into Roshan, and LGD have no idea about this. Obviously it's a lot easier once Ravage is down and Supernova is down that you can do such things. So they get the Aegis Immortal into the hands of AUI now. And this will allow EG to force into at least a tier 2 tower. If they can, they'll definitely take Zhao 8's life. But he's got that helm up, and well, with Omni Slash, it really won't matter. In fact, September, he gets orchided. That's a fresh one over on Samael. So he ends up Icarus diving himself away, but then returning to the scene of the crime. 2 heroes down, no buybacks available, and EG just got a huge opening.
Yeah, they've been, they've made one mistake, and that was top lane, and now they don't seem to be making any more. LGD, they've been exposed a few more times, and this is the point, by the way, where the Queen of Pain is incredibly strong. Counter to the Ember Spirit, counter to the Lifestealer, and EG, I mean, they hit that timing harder than I ever could have imagined, to be honest. 20-minute Raxing.
That's kind of crazy to think about. Like, the fact that you're able to pick up the Tidehunter pretty easily, he was isolated, so the Omni Slash from AUI did its perfect work. You didn't have to commit Fiend Script, and the major controller was also like taking out the Phoenix in the way, so there was no Sunray, there was no real D-push from LGD, because the 2 heroes that died are practically your D-push until the Battle Fury's over, or maybe, because he got orchided. And they couldn't be aware of that. Like, that was picked up maybe 30 seconds before the push came out from EG. And they did all of this under the protection of an Aegis. You've just taken bottom rack sub 20 minutes.
Yeah, now Shadowblade. I love Shadowblade Doom in games like this. Blinking on top of an Ember Sphere and trying to get a Doom out, that's not going to work. He'll always be able to jump to his Remnant first. The same kind of goes for Lifestealer. Lifestealer will always rage, and then he dodges maybe some of the follow-up disablers or something, runs himself away. But Shadowblade allows you to be able to pick off these heroes when they go for the split push. For example, like maybe he has an Invis rune right now, but he's going to try and like all of a sudden pop out and push the lane in, and Fear might already be in position to counter him.
The only downside is it got revealed.
Yeah.
So he can't just go for it, because he TP'd to the top lane where the Dire Observer ward's already there. Also, LGD tried to get rid of the established vision they knew EG would put down. They got rid of one of the wards, but the very deep ward that EG put basically on top of the dead ranks of LGD. It didn't get de-watered. The Sentry Wall was a little bit too far off. PPD's playing around the mid lane. I say playing, they're about to find the kill. Again, that Orchid going to work with the Wrath of Nature bouncing through, getting the kill for Bulba. AUI wants to go for more. That Omni Slash is up at level 2, and Zhao Wei completely isolated. They're coming in closer. Try and take it up with a Sonic Wave hitting on 3. You got the Ravage, and maybe they can turn this. AUI underneath the tower, but what do you turn it for? It's an Aegis the Immortal is the only thing that's really lost. And then, well, no. This is going to end right now. You've got no Phoenix, the Ravage is blowing, so you got a 2-minute window here for EG. And with the Glimmer Cape from PPD, he wants to slip in and find something. Fear's also walking forward. They're worried that they're actually visible hence they drop the sentry, but they are not. They just take the tier 2 tower.
Whew, man, EG really know how to turn up the heat. Holy cow, this is so good by them. I imagine by 25 minutes they were threatening a Rax, but the fact that they actually got the Rax before 20 minutes are now considering to, push high ground a second time before 25 minutes. This is just like EG keeping up a very fast tempo game, and it's smart because they're reading the biggest openings in LGD, that time where you only have, maybe you don't have Battle Fury, maybe you've only just now gotten Battle Fury, but you're definitely exposed to Orchid either way. The Lifestealer isn't that full team fight force, just because he can't necessarily do it alone, and they don't have the better initiation. That's what's really lacking for LGD right now. If they have like,
well, they had the blink on MMY at the moment. So
yeah,
that's certainly fresh. However, top lane maybe he's in trouble. Doomed.
Is he
as
actually?
well as Orchid.
No.
He'll survive. He'll survive.
Yeah. I wasn't sure how much the Orchid, once it popped, would do, but...
They also had the mech from Zhao 8.
Yeah.
And that's what gave them the extra bit of safety life to come. Okay, so LGD, again, they are getting rid of this aggressive vision of EG. But they've got a real issue, and that's that bottom lane. It's continuously going to force them back into their base, while AUI is just effectively taking all of the resources from the LGD side of the map. They can't even slip out and take at their Ancients or any of their jungle camps, because EG's pushing them the top lane. Obviously, because they've already got the bottom lane pushed in, so they're fine with that.
Yeah, despite what I was talking about, like them maybe pushing high ground a second time before 25 minutes, I don't think that's the play. I think Evil Geniuses need to sit back and just control this game until the second Roshan, and then use that to go high ground. They can just starve EG out because they've got 4 really good farming heroes. They can turn Doom into a core. In fact, he already is, with 9k net worth.
Absorb Ward goes down, they catch out Samael, and say goodbye to your Queen of Pain. Phoenix will be the one to get the kill, taking 715 gold.
So when you spread out and kind of try and starve the enemy for resources and outfarm them for a while, the natural response is going to be some smoke pushouts by the enemy team to try and push you, off kilter a little bit. They'll gain some map control back, that sort of thing. Maybe they even get objective, which we'll see in tier 1 at top. But those are to be expected. You hope to be able to minimize your losses, but you can still continue to go for this play as soon as the Queen of Pain is back up. So not the end of the world, this pick off on the Queen of Pain, both sides essentially just doing what they're supposed to for now.
Yeah, EG don't want to throw away this advantage they've managed to pick up, which is quite substantial. And what else do we get? So I was actually wondering what Bulb was going to pick up. He was walking around with almost 4k gold.
Yeah.
So he kind of had a lot of options, but he went for the Maelstrom as well as Blink Dagger. So you can say it's almost like the classic Bulldog. So we can keep that split push going. PPD's going to get rid of the vision after they picked up that 25 minute gem. They know. Okay, Bulber actually brought the creep wave to him, and then blinked away. But that ping was perfectly on the mark. Bulber is not in a good position. He starts his TP. He'll dodge the stun from MMY, but he's so low. If they can just get vision, a finger of death will kill him. They come through, and in fact, they don't even need the finger. Bulber, maybe not the greatest thing there, actually dragging the dire creep wave into his position where he attacked.
Another pick off. Evil Geniuses are bleeding a little bit too much away this time. That being said, LGD are doing a great job. I would love to actually see them put up another one of these Furion wards just on the bottom side, the bottom half of the map, just to really make sure that Bulba, because it's tough to gank. You can't really gank AUI, right? Like, how are you going to do that? You have to blink Hex. And that's entirely on MMY with aggressive inside him in order to kill that hero. It's just so much easier to punish the Furion. So I'd like to see their vision kind of focus around that. And if they get enough pickoffs, they might actually be able to win the Roshan fight. They get the Aegis, and all of a sudden this game looks a lot more in the favor of LGD. I mean, already, if you look at the farm of Maybe, it's progressing decently well. He's about to get the counter to the Orchid in the form of Manta Styles.
So he can finally break free of that silence.
Yeah, and Aggressive will have the really significant mid-game damage upgrade with the Desolator coming in as well. So that's another significant one that Evil Geniuses, they can plan around the late game, and that's fine and everything, but they, ideally, you want to be able to close out this game by 35.
Yeah, but if you're going to do that, then you're going to be forcing the issue a lot harder than this. Like if you want to finish by 35, even having Blink Dagger Maelstrom may not be the choice. Having something more like, I don't know if you actually want to say Necros when you're going up against a Lifestealer, but something that gives you more push for EG to go up high ground. I was thinking Necros on Bulba.
No. I don't think so. I think they're still good with this build on the Furion and everything else. They're controlling this game really well. I mean, remember they already pushed one lane of Brax, right? Yeah. So they don't necessarily
but it was
need.
Also when like LG got caught with their pants down. Like they may get a moment like that again. Like right now, Zhao 8 Blink Force from AUI again. Zhao 8 isolates himself from the creep wave, and AUI has no issue killing him off with a level 3 ultimate. So that's 50 seconds without the Tidehunter. There is Roshan who just respawned. Bulbous Tree and scattered out. And EG's going to slip it and take Roshan. So LGD looking for that Roshan. It's not going to happen this time.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Evil Geniuses will just get the Aegis, then they'll start going high ground, either mid or top. They'll start chopping away at it with a Juggernaut who has Aegis. And then LGD are going to be the ones forced into a disadvantageous fight. That being said, they do have the right kind of heroes to be able to defend high ground successfully. They still have Ravage plus Supernova. That's a team fight winner by itself, that combo. And then you can go ahead and throw a Battle Fury Ember Spirit over the top, and things are really difficult.
I'm wondering if the Supernova can do enough now. Because you got BKBs over on the Queen of Pain as well as on the Doombringer.
Well, that's why it's combined with the Ravage, right? You have to hit the Ravage and get that disable on all the heroes before the Supernova goes down around the same time.
If BKBs come off, or if they mistime it up against like the spin of AUI, then LGD is in a world of hurt.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's why it's essential for LGD to always get the initiation first, to get the disables on these BKB heroes.
It has to come from MMY though. Like Xiao's using a Force Staff. It's not that instant jump.
Oh, that is true.
Hunter.
Yeah, he might be able to get the Blink Dagger before the push, but okay, I actually agree with this. I think he like tanking up is not the bad idea. So you are right. MMY is going to have to be the full out instant disabler on some of these magic immune potential heroes, and then they'll have the Tide already being on the front lines because he's just going to be purely tanked up with Shiva's next, I believe.
Yeah. It's Samael Sheev is actually coming as well.
Yeah, smart decision by him. He needs some the whole team. Like AC
for a moment.
AC and Shiva.
This is not the moment. Observer and Sentry's planned out. He's just on the edge of the Sentry wall.
Oh my god, he gets it off!
No, he got the BKB! The Doom's over on Xiao. That Ravage does practically nothing. Same with the Supernova. This is what LGD feared. They've lost their big ultimates. Now with the Omni Slash as well, you're gonna lose everybody. LGD, they are on the run. EG are looking good. They're looking back, and Aggressive is down. Ember Spirit, the only sole survivor of LGD. They thought they actually had the better opening. They found the Doombringer, and then it all went to us.
Yeah, that was PPD making the clutch sleep and Fiend's Grip play, and then Fear obviously being able to get off the BKB before the Finger or Ravage. And now LGD, this is like a last-ditch scenario where you have to double buy back because they can't, like, one lane of Rax is okay, LGD could recover from that, but a second lane of Rax,
you still don't have
no way.
Though. Like with this, maybe just gets off and it's brought down. 72 seconds on the sideline. He does have buyback, but okay, well I guess we're going to have ourselves another buyback coming out from LGD. Dive forward, Sphere's on the run. AUI has to spin himself away from that Lime Stealer. That Lime Stealer still has terrible damage. As Volva, they glimmer him up. They try and get some space here, but it's not going to happen. So EG will lose their profit as well as the Queen of Pain. They don't really get that much in return. The mid tower's gone down. The range Rax is low, but they didn't do a lot of damage to the top, which Bulba attempted to do. But you do get buybacks out from the 3 cores of LGD.
Ever since the change up where they really nerfed the buyback gold penalty has a really big effect. The fact that both the Life Stealer as well as the Ember Spirit were the ones who picked up those 2 kills on cores on Evil Geniuses does really hurt the comeback potential of LGD in a play like that. They got very minimal away from that, which is why they actually have to start pushing forward aggressively.
Nightmare on one, Fiend's Grip on the other. AUI is going to jump in, looks for heavy damage on Aggressive. He actually got a decent amount of it, unfortunately. There's a lot of help from LGD coming right behind it now. EG, they have PPD out for 50 seconds. There's no buyback available. Ravage is 26 seconds away. You got Nova up and running again. And LGD, they're coming down the mid. They're looking for a counter push here up against EG.
Not sure why they would do that. It just seems, again, one of those unnecessary risks.
Oh, the blink in! He goes for more, starts to spin up, Bubble will TP out. They got the Orchid over at MMY, that will be a very dead Lion. But now with the Infest pop out, Xiao Wei, 2 seconds, 1 second, he halfway for the BKBs. The Omni Slash looking for the kill, Aggressive will tank out most of it. The Nova brought down, so will Xiao Wei's life being taken away. They lost their own gem that was picked up by the Phoenix.
Oh, that sucks.
So LGD actually losing out heavily there. That fight seemed a little odd at the start from AUI, but
that
came together.
That was PPD's gem. Oh, that's why all the counter wards are literally in the mid lane. I didn't realize that. So they actually get their gem back into the hands of EG. Didn't realize they actually had one. But that was just like...
Is there another one? I swear there was another one.
It might be. When they engaged at the tier 1, bad play. They engaged at the tier 2, that was the right play. Because Evil Geniuses were actually coming back up. Their death timers were low enough that it was the right time to force that fight. So, good read. The mid-tier 1 was just like an unnecessary play. Evil Geniuses don't need to take risks like that in order to win this game. Unfortunately, LGD did manage to defend high ground well enough and then consequently pushed out, got another pick off, another team fight happens, but it's on EG's side of the map that they're not able to make use of that Aegis. And LGD have once again, just like their match against Game 2 against MVP, they've drawn the game out, and that is really dangerous. You cannot afford to make any of these simple mistakes against a team like LGD because when they have this better late game, they will just use that one mistake to be the reason that you won't do as well the next team fight. You won't be able to close out the game as fast, and the next thing you know, you're 55 minutes in, and LGD are now pushing your side of the map despite being 2 lanes of racks down.
I'm hoping my balance will solve the issues with my microphone. I have no idea if it'll work though.
LGD, sorry, Toby's just too loud, guys.
It's true. No, you know it.
Yeah, his voice can penetrate my eardrums better than any other.
That is
wildly inappropriate way to describe that.
Yeah, you're cottoning on to how I did it.
I did that intentionally.
you know me too well.
They're gonna find the other ward. LGD losing all map vision.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, that's one way to do it. I was like, they just don't have vision uphill. They're gonna have to bring their courier out because, or somebody's gonna have to blink up there. And EY's like, no, guys, I gotta help.
Healing water, that works.
I'll throw the healing ward up there.
Well. So what vision do you have? Like
none.
Yeah, it's actually literally none.
Yeah.
Like, compared to the Radiant vision, but even then, like EG's vision isn't that great either. They got one observer ward, which is next to the Dire Secret shop, and okay, they put one in the mid lane. They put one smack bang in the mid lane. But they also have the other advantage. Bottom lane's always pushing in because there's super creeps down here.
Yeah, there should always be one lane that's pushing in. From the Ember Spirit. That is just you don't want to be in this situation, but that is the risk he has to take. He maybe is the only person who can push out. You can't let all the lanes. You can't just sit inside your base and let all the lanes push into you. That offers EG a wealth of opportunities to initiate on you and close out the game. So you have to always make sure that one of these lanes are pushed out. It does.
Try.
Yeah, you can try.
But you just, I don't know if you just saw what Bulba did with his treants. He took him to the bottom lane, dragged the creep wave over, started to attack him, so now he actually gets a double creep wave of his own, pushing him through the bottom at LGD.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even a hero commitment that comes out from EG in order to push LGD back inside their base, while AUY, Skadi is done, Diffusal is done, he'll probably buy up his second level too, because he's down to 2 charges on that thing. Samael is staring down the barrel of having himself a scythe in just a bit.
And the reason you push out these side lanes as the Ember Spirit, like it comes at a risk, and people will be like, but why would you do that? You could just sit in your base and slide a fist every creep wave that comes uphill. But the thing is, if you do that play, yeah, it's very simple. It's like you'll see it in pubs. It happens all the time. The thing is, at an advanced level like this, Evil Geniuses will recognize what you're doing. They'll keep themselves really spread out. They'll out farm you. They'll have all the map control in the world. They'll take another Roshan. They'll get another Aegis, get cheese, and then they'll reach a point where before you were 7,500 gold behind or something like that, and then they'll be 20k gold ahead, and then they'll make 20k into 30k gold ahead until they're so far ahead of you that it just doesn't matter if you have better late game. They'll just go straight uphill no matter what.
Fine, I'm turning myself back up again. God help us all.
Who told Toby to turn himself up?
The entire chat.
Come on, guys.
The entire chat.
Come on, guys. You know that's not the right play.
that is the play.
like in like TeamSpeak or something, where you have individual user
Yeah,
volume control. Like if I had
Like-
that in real life for Toby, I would turn him down a couple of decibels.
It's negative 10 decibels, boys and girls. Did I ever tell you the story of like when I used to cast back in Australia from residential places? I had the police call to me a couple of times, almost got evicted because they thought I left the TV on at full blast, listening to sports channels late at night. So then my housemate put one of those decibel meters inside my room, and I actually capped a level which is louder than standing in front of a jet engine, decibel-wise. And I'm like, oh, that's cool.
That is.
I'm surprised I actually didn't get myself hearing damage. Let alone all the people who get locked in a room with me when they have to cast with me.
LGD managed to sneak in a Roshan, so that is really good for them. Well played. I'm not sure how they actually managed to...
Oh, here they come.
Oh, wow.
AUI. The double spin is there. Live Dealer, who do you want to go on? Oh, MMY. The Sonic Wave is there from Smell to finish the job. And again, this Omni-Slash bouncing through him, doing some serious work. Yahweh has some nice life back with the Ravage. It's going to hit nicely. His two heroes down for LGD. One about to become immortal again. The Nova going to work, but Fear and Bulb are all over it. They bring down the Phoenix, and now aggressive. Locked in position. BKB, PPD, Fiend Script, making that life stealer do almost nothing until finally he is released from the grip. PPD is on the run, but LGD now start to show their strength. They'll bring down 4. Samael has managed to escape to the north. But, well, LGD, that Aegis gave him a little bit more time.
Yeah, I can't believe Evil Geniuses, in some ways, you can understand it. You don't want to let this game dwindle on another 5 minutes, so it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. You find into the Aegis, or you give LGD just kind of free time to farm, and maybe even give them the time and having the Aegis to be able to set the tempo of the game and be the ones who push aggressively into you and maybe get the initiation on you. So they choose to take that fight. Obviously, they get it starts off pretty well, but they get demolished inevitably. It's the Fiend script that actually cost them so many of their lives. Just like at the top lane, actually, it's very similar, where PPD makes a good play where he's like, I've got a good Fiend script, but it ends up drawing some of the members of Evil Geniuses back into a fight that they do end up losing quite dramatically. They could have actually escaped with some decent trades there, actually. But Juggernaut, Furion both go back in, lose their lives, and now because of that, LGD take a tier 2.
They're also going to start to repair the big part of this advantage EG has. Do we dare say it's not a 40k swing, but it could definitely get there eventually.
Yeah,
LGD are on the way.
It's a good start, that's for sure. And now Evil Geniuses...
It's still so much. They put the sentries down, okay. They can see the Observer Ward, but they can't do much about it.
Yeah.
They're going to back up. They don't want to be forced into a fight. There's no Ravage, there's no reason to fight. Wait 22 seconds, they can go.
Right. Evil Geniuses, they can still win fights, by the way. They can still win fights. I'm just trying to imagine how the fight goes. I don't think the Doom can ever reliably get the Doom on the Ember Spirit, just because of the Lincolns. It's just a bit too difficult. He would have to swap out his pack leader's aura for the Purge Creep, and that still has an animation to it, so you have 2 spells that you have to cast back to back that have animation in order to get a Doom on Ember Spirit, and that is still really tough. So I don't think you can rely on that. I think he still dooms up the Tidehunter or the Lifestealer. I think those are your 2 targets. If you doom up the Lifestealer, you can use Nature's Prophet to sprout and control the Lifestealer. If not, if they doom the Tide, then that means Bane has to always pop his BKB and ult the Lifestealer to give the control there. That's like the ideal initiation, right? And then from there, you somehow hope that Juggernaut's able to output enough damage that he kills the Lifestealer while he's doomed up or controlled by Fiend's Grip, and then hope that by the time you finish that, maybe hasn't killed the rest of your team with his Battle Fury Cleaves.
You have a lot of hope for being thrown into every single scenario.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting pretty rough. But if they can do that once, they're back in control of this game and on the verge of ending it once again. But In the meantime, LGD are growing more and more of an advantage to their favor, even if the metrics don't say it is just yet. This is the power of better late game.
Yeah. It's also the fact, like EG can't go up into the base of LGD without killing them beforehand.
Yeah.
Because Ember's got everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's always going to have the positioning. Soon he'll be dropping this gem and picking up another item. Interested to see what his choice is going to be for that, because he's already got the defensive Lincoln Sphere. The Gem of True Sight hasn't been too shabby for him, because obviously now he knows if the Doombringer is coming for him.
Right, exactly.
But, like, do you give that up? Like, because if you don't, like,
no.
Sphere could be waiting in the wings of a side lane while you're trying to push it out. You almost need to have that kind of detection.
Yeah, if it's straight up from Invis, there is a very likely chance that he gets off the Purge animation, because you don't break Invis until the animation is complete. So all of a sudden, Lincoln's pops, and then you have like a half second to hit your defensive jump away to Remnant before the Doom finishes its animation, and you get controlled. So I think it's better for him just to hold on to the gem. Much safer play.
What a scam.
At least for now,
As
anyway.
she scouts out the entire LGD movement inside the Radiant jungle. The funny thing is, if LGD didn't loop around, they wouldn't have had that happen. PPD starts the BKB with a brain tap. MMY's down low. Samal will jump up, gets the Orchid over on September. And Lion, finally, you're going to have that life stealer jump down. Samal, I say the back lines, having a little bit of help coming in from Bulba with that Omni Slash. They're able to get through one. Xiaowei doomed up, so you won't have his help in this game. And they infest
nice save.
To blink away, maybe saving his teammate, carrying him out, the full Uber medic right.
Holy cow, that was a really good save there from LGD, because that fight, it was playing out kind of like the way I was describing it. They got the Doom on the Tide. The Fiend script, don't think it like lasted very long. I think it was just like the Lion pop out lifesteal or whatever. But the thing that I didn't actually talk about, Samael getting the Orchid onto the Phoenix before the Supernova or Sunray, that it really helped make sure the fight went in the way of Evil Geniuses, and there wasn't an opportunity for counter initiation from LGD.
It's the amount of fights, like if you look back through them, like the amount of fights where you don't have Tide Ravage, you do not have Phoenix.
Yeah.
You get like Samel's control on Phoenix and Fear's control over on the Tide Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
This just makes the fights for them, and then instantly they attack into the mid racks. Doesn't go any further than that, but they get the buyback coming out from Xiaowei. I don't think Xiaowei is too concerned. He's already like rolling in the money as a Tide Hunter, so it's not that bad. It's just bad having it on cooldown for 6 minutes.
I wonder why they why Evil Geniuses chose to take that fight, because you know LGD are smoked there. You know they're 5 minutes most likely, right? With that kind of scan, you plan for the worst. Mm-hmm. I wonder why they chose to take that fight. It obviously worked out, but it was in part thanks to their initiation just happened to be better, despite LGD should have been able to get like a decent Ravage and stuff. I think maybe the proximity to their base was actually why EG took that fight. They're like, okay, if we're going to take any fight, let's take a fight where we can buy back on whoever ends up going out first here. Mm-hmm. That might have been the reason. Unfortunately, they won it well enough that they didn't need to, because I was like, I'm very much perplexed when PPD started going in. I was just like, what? I was like, don't you just back away from that? But
yeah, it seemed odd. But at the same time, like that's one of those few times you're probably going to have like more information that LGD knows you do. Like when you get the scan like that, you understand they're going to rotate down. They're obviously smoke ganking when they move like that. So you glimmer cape yourself forward. Like, what is the chance that PPD actually dies when he has the vision advantage coming in through glimmer cape? You know he's got BKB. Brain sap makes him insanely tanky as well. Like, and it's that straight lockdown which forces a reaction ability out from LGD. The ones which then do not get used on proper Quap and Doom. Or Juggernaut. Literally everyone. Oh, and LGD now, they're trying to wait for Roshan. Maybe he's inside the pit. They've got another minute before Roshan's up. Unfortunately for Maybe, those spirits aren't going to give the vision he wants anymore. And Xiaowei, okay, that is the most obvious bait ever. Moving forward, okay, now you got the extra help from Maybe, no longer present bait. EG, we're not going to jump for it. And they don't have to. Like, Bulbous can still keep doing a split push. We actually haven't seen him pick up an item in the last 15 minutes.
Oh, they try and go for the initiation with the MMY, but maybe kind of spooks Juggernaut.
That Hex over on maybe the Ravage from Xiaowei. Fear gets his BKB off, so does Sumail. They're trying to pick up AUI on that back line. It's maybe who's the one who's in trouble. Down for 2 minutes in the Fiend script. Aggressive, isolated. The rest of his team, they're leaving him for dead. Aggressive will go down. You've lost your lifestealer, you've lost your Ember. Ember has his buyback money, but lifestealer does not. And this is mid-racks.
Yep, it is. That might be the end of the game. Ember Spirit somehow has to defend as the sole damage dealer.
Oh, this is not going to be an easy task for him with the Sun Ray out. They try and burn through Fear. Now the Omni Slash all on Xiaowei for the Sonic Wave. Helps finish off with the 4-star back. Even the Omni Slash reaches a line, and there it is. GG, LGD tried the defense, it failed, and now they know game 1 is in the bag for EG. 48 minutes it took to do it, but EG take it.
Yeah, that was definitely really well played by Evil Geniuses. The Lincolns was eventually only going to be so effective against the Queen of Pain, as both Orchid and Scythe was finally picked up by Sumail, and that obviously frees things up for the Doom to be able to come into play. And once they got the Doom on the Ember Spirit and the Fiend's Grip on the Lifestealer, kind of like the way we described the way these fights have to go, it worked out for them. EG just managed to find the initiations in these fights. There was